Hey, teachers. So I wanted to give an update because now maybe you guys received all of these updates before I did, but mine were very slow to arrive in my Google Meet. And now that I have them all, I wanted to show you what they looked like. So here I am in my Google Meet. I'm presenting my screen. Hopefully you can see the entire thing, even the icons way down in the corners here. That's where we're going to have to check on the status. So you'll be able to see whether or not you have some of these features yourself. So first thing, I believe we mentioned maybe about a week ago, I sent out a quick little video that this little blue shield icon appeared for all of us. And what it gives is some host controls that did not exist prior, to the start of this year. These host controls, by the way, can also be found in the People tab up here. So if we click that, you'll not only see the members of your Meet, but you'll also see that little button for host controls here as well. I just wanted to point out it lives in two places. So we can, let's take a look here. It just looks a little bit different. So right now, everything is turned on. So that means that anyone can enter this Google Meet. They will not need to be admitted by me or whoever the host is. It is set to, just allow them in. If I toggle this off, now I'm going to get an alert. The rest of the participants of the Meet won't see it, but I'll get an alert, something like a doorbell, that idea, that where you have to choose to admit the students who are trying to enter. Good thing to know, though, for this feature, the quick access, and for the sharing screen and chat messages as well, you can toggle these on and off as you need to. So I've heard from a couple of teachers that they have no problem starting the Meet, the beginning of the class period, leaving this on. Let everybody join. Give them a couple of minutes. Everybody just enters. They don't have to admit them personally. Now they're just in. However, now the class is underway for 5-7 minutes. Now they can just click on this little blue shield while they're presenting or while they're working and toggle it off. Now they will receive notifications to say, hey, another student is trying to enter. And it's maybe a way for them to keep track of who's arriving late, at least, as best we can in this, distance learning environment. Same is true for sharing screen and the ability to use the chat. You might want to turn both of those features off at the very beginning. Maybe you want to deliver whatever it is that you need to deliver, any information, demo, Jamboard, whatever it is that you're delivering. And then after a couple of minutes, you want to turn this back on and say, okay, I'm done sharing my screen. Now I want to see what you guys have to share. So I just wanted to point out that not only that this icon can be found down here in the lower left, but that you can randomly throughout the meeting, change the settings. In other words, you're not, kind of married to the decision at the beginning of the Meet. You can, make some adjustments as you need to throughout the meeting. So that is the blue shield option. The other new feature is that attendance report that gets emailed to you automatically at a few minutes after the end of the Google Meet, as soon as you've closed out of it. The only thing to know about that is, unfortunately, if you had a Google Meet, say it was like, an extra help session or something like that, and there were only a couple of participants, you're not going to get that attendance report. It's only for Google Meets that have, I think, a minimum of 5 participants, you plus 4, something like that. I forget the exact number. It's either 4 or 5. So you can't, you won't necessarily receive that attendance report unless, it's, a full class setting. A couple of the other new features live down here in the 3 dots in the bottom right corner. And some of them I think are going to be very familiar. So I think we've all, gotten accustomed to using this change layout button. And although tiled has been an option since the beginning of Google Meet, what now exists is this little slider down here. For me, I can slide this to a larger number, but of course, nothing is changing in this view because I'm the only member of this Google Meet right now. But I just wanted to point out that this is where the default is still set to 16, but you can make it smaller or larger depending on the size of your class. So you can see, all of their faces. So that change layout had that added slider. Another thing that showed up in the three dots that I'm super excited about is the background blur. We've been talking about this, over and over again among ourselves, but really as it relates to the students, not everybody is comfortable, ourselves included. Not everyone is comfortable displaying what's on the background, in the background of their home, essentially. So you can click on that button now, and it does exactly what it says. It just takes a second or so to process, and now my background is blurred out. So I think this feature will also appear for the students, so you can explain to them if they click the three dots, they should have that option to blur their own background as well. And that might make them a little bit more comfortable to know that, the little brother who's running back and forth in the background won't be visible, or, just decorations, or the busyness of their space doesn't have to necessarily be made public now. So I'm going to turn that feature off. And the other feature that shows up under these three dots is this whiteboard open a jam option. Please stay tuned. There will be a video. I'm working on that right now. I'm collecting some resources that I'd like to share with you, Jamboard templates that other people have collected and shared, and some tutorial videos, and I'll be making one on my own as well that I'll share with you of how you can use it. So I'm not going to go into great detail here, but please know that it's another Google app, but instead of having to open it separately, using the little waffle or creating a new tab or something like that, you can actually, it's integrated now with Google Meet. So it was something that, teachers had asked for. I wish we had a whiteboard, that was handy and accessible, and they listened and they added it. So it's right here. It should be the top option as it is for me. So when you click on that, what you'll see are two options. You can either choose one that you had already, prepared or created. Obviously, once you get going with this, you might have, a file that you'd like to pull up and share with your kids. Or if you're just looking for a place to write, hey, you know what, we're talking about this, let's do a brainstorm right now, just a spur of the moment thing, you're going to start a brand new one, right? So when you click that, it gives you a whiteboard that, you can move around and share with your kids. So you can think of it as having, that blackboard or whiteboard in your classroom, like so many of us are used to. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs, but please know that you can use this for yourself. Like if I wanted to, demonstrate how to do something, or, start a brainstorming session, I can add text boxes and sticky notes and images, or just draw on here with a pen. If I had, happen to have one of those touch mouse pads, or if I were on an iPad, I can just use my finger or one of those pens or styluses. So I can display this. If I'm presenting my screen, which I am, you can see anything that I add, to this Jamboard, right? So it could be something that I'm writing or something that I'm adding. But the other beautiful part of Jamboard is that it's collaborative. So yes, you can use it just as a standalone for yourself, to enhance your own instruction. You're sharing your screen. They don't only have to look at your face. They can also look at, some information or instructions that you're sharing on this whiteboard. However, you can also share it with the kids. So you can make it accessible to them. It is already, viewable by anybody in Uniondale. If you wanted it to be viewable even by parents or whatever, when they're all finished, you can change this to anybody on the internet. And you can copy the link and paste it in the chat, or you can simply go to the chat. And because I opened this Jamboard inside this Google Meet session, it automatically added the Jam file right here in the chat. So you can direct your kids, say, okay, take a look in the chat. Here is the Jamboard I've created, 5 pages, you and you are going to work on slide 2, you and you are going to work on slide 3, and you're going to brainstorm together, give them some instructions. And your Jamboard can have multiple pages. Right now, we're just looking at one, but we can add another one very simply, and then just toggle back and forth. So here's the one that, we had scribbled on, and here's, whoops, another blank one. So you could, put a title at the top and say group 2, and tell group 2 that they have to work on this page. So that appears automatically in the chat. However, if it was something you were recording this lesson in advance, but you still wanted the kids to have access to the Jamboard, when you share it, you can also copy the link and paste it, not only in the chat of the Google Meet, but in Google Classroom, or send an email, or whatever it is. So any place that's copyable and pastable, you can share this Jamboard. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to use Jamboards. We'll save that for another video. But that was let's get out of this chat for a second. That was in the 3 dots. And I believe those are, let's just take a look. I believe those are the new features. Nothing else here is new besides background blur, whiteboard, and the layout. The other thing that's new, this was the last to appear for me. I was waiting and waiting for it because a lot of my colleagues got it and said, "Hey, did you get breakout rooms and, polls and stuff?" And it took forever. I just got them a couple of days ago. So this little icon, this one had always existed, the members of your Google Meet. This is the chat. I think we're all very familiar with those 2 buttons, but we'll now have this third one. It's a collection of shapes, and they've labeled it activities, because inside here, you will now find breakout rooms and polls. So breakout rooms is really user-friendly. I tested it out with a couple of colleagues, and we got to see how it looks from the teacher side as well as the participant side, the student side. And it's super easy to do. So it's not going to look super normal here, because again, I'm the only member of this Google Meet. But if you click Google breakout rooms, it will automatically divide all the members into a bunch of rooms. You can change that. So let's say it auto-generated 4 rooms, but that's too many. You can always, change the number of these. Right now, it's not really, we're not seeing any names, but you're in great control here of the breakout rooms. You can decide how many rooms. It's going to auto-populate all the members of your Google Meet into breakout rooms. But if you didn't like that, random assignment, if you wanted student A not to be in breakout 1, you wanted him to be in breakout 2, when you see a person's name here, you can actually click it and drag it to any room that you want. Or you can be completely random and hit shuffle and put the names, in a different order. So again, don't feel that whatever breakout rooms they assign to you, you're kind of stuck with. You can edit those as you need to. You can change the names of these. When we were playing around, we were saying, red room and blue room and things like that. Or you could call it, whatever the topics were, whatever the kids are brainstorming, whatever it is. So again, lots of control here. And what happens is, on the student side is, so let's say you were a member of this Google Meet and you were assigned to breakout room 2. While you are sitting here staring at the screen, right in the middle, you can't miss it, will be sort of a pop-out message that says, you have been invited to breakout room 2. And you're actually required to click the word join. It doesn't automatically place you in it. So you have to encourage your kids to, click the join button. Otherwise, they will only stay in the main room and they're not going to move to that breakout room. It is, you can't physically push them into this space. They have to click join. And then once they're in that breakout room, they'll see the members of that group. And near the top of the window, we don't see it here because we're in the main room. There are no breakout rooms. There's going to be sort of a yellow bar that says, hey, whenever you're ready, click here to get back to the main room. So there will be a clickable link up here. And the teacher can, pop in and out of any of these breakout rooms and, join the discussion and, make sure everybody is on track. So breakout rooms was a super cool feature, really user-friendly, and it kind of eliminates, I think I had sent a video recently of like a workaround where you can open up multiple Google Meets and visit them, and you are sort of in charge of them, these different tabs that you can visit. Now it's sort of all in like one-stop shopping. So I like that, Google kind of listened to us and liked they added the features that we liked. The other one that I thought was super cool was reminds me of like Edpuzzle, right? So you can find a video and stop it at some point and ask a question. It's a similar idea, except you're the video, right? So right now, Here I am sharing my screen. We're talking about something, we're discussing. Maybe we had a breakout room. Maybe I shared a Jamboard, whatever it is. I can click polls. I'm going to click this, the activities icon again and choose polls. And let's get rid of that one. I'm going to click start a poll. And I can say, do you agree with whatever, the video shared or whatever we discussed on our Jamboard or whatever. And you can type in yes or no and hit launch. And then the kids will get this question in their chat that they can pick yes or no. And you can decide whether or not you want to make the results public, right? So if I toggle that on, the kids will see, oh, 15 people said yes, like I did, and only 5 people said no. It's sort of like the results are published live. And you can get rid of it, once it's over, or just end the poll to stop people being able to vote on it. So it's something you can do sort of in the moment, take the temperature of the room. Does everybody understand who needs help, exit ticket type activities, right? So I think Google is doing a really good job of listening to us teachers and, adding slowly the features that we really want to appear in our Google Meet, since so many of us are teaching this way. So please, as you're working with these features, let me know if you have questions. You may see for the next little while, I can't put a timeline on it. I'm going to say maybe another week or so, where a feature is there and then it disappears, or it's not working properly for a minute, but then the next period it is working fine, because it's still being rolled out. I would imagine, the rest of this month is going to be, a little bit of those glitches that we've experienced so far, but it's been slowing down. I haven't heard nearly as many complaints. I haven't experienced as many complaints myself. So hopefully now that all of these cool features are there, we won't have, the slowdown and the disappearing acts and all these crazy things that have been happening prior. And we can start to take advantage of these cool features. Please let me know if you have questions. And if I don't know the answer, I will do my best to get you that answer as soon as I possibly can.